World's most huggable wrestler, Bryan Castle here, and you're watching Drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Your host, Big Mo here. Things have been so busy with the show, but I am happy to get to talk to the one and only Bryan Castle. How the hell you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I've had, like I said, been pretty busy recording a few times a week. A couple days ago, I actually just talked with Alex Cologne.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Alex is a good guy.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite ones I've had so far. But
well, hopefully I can keep that level up.
Hey. But first thing I like to start off with asking each of my guests is, what got you started as a fan? And then what got you wanting to go ahead and make the leap into wrestling?
So I got started as a fan really young, and it started because I had a babysitter, and she was a wrestling fan. So I'd go over there, and it was always on Saturdays, and WCW Saturday night, 6:05 every week. And then she took me to, but we would also watch like the WWF syndicated stuff. And she took me to my first wrestling event in, I believe it was 91. And the main event was Ultimate Warrior versus Ted DiBiase. And I was hooked from there. And then deciding to get into wrestling, I mean, I knew I was going to start wrestling from a young age. Like in my yearbook in high school, they did a future career path section, and there's a photo of me giving a kid a torture rack because I knew then and there I wanted to get pro wrestling. So,
awesome.
I mean,
yeah, I remember.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, you talked about your first show. I remember my first one. The two matches that really jumped out. It was back when Owen Hart was teaming with Coco Beware, and Owen Hart came by and slapped my hand. And one of the other matches two of the matches. One was Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty for the Intercontinental title. And the other one, and I'm like third grade, sitting right near the entrance, and then out comes Yokozuna to fight Big Boss Man.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that would have been like 94, 95?
Right around there, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was something else. But when it comes to training, I think some people kind of, I guess, underestimate how physically taxing it can be. What do you think was the hardest part of the training for you?
Cardio. And a lot of people don't understand that ring cardio is completely different than, say, if you're going to run 3 miles. Wrestling a match, a 10-minute match, is a whole nother level of cardio as opposed to, running on a treadmill or a bike or riding a bike. And it took me a while to learn how to properly breathe and control my pace and everything. And I'm lucky I had some really good trainers to help me out and get better at it. So
yeah, I understand that. Like I said, some people tend to underestimate how training and being in a match can be.
Yeah, well, and even running drills during practice when I was training, it was a lot of moving around, a lot of hitting the ropes, and the ring itself. It's not like running on ground.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, people tend to think the ring is like bouncy, like a trampoline, but like I've helped set up the rings before, and it's literally just steel, then boards, then like a very thin little mat, and so not a whole lot of padding there.
Right. And I've wrestled in rings with a lot of give. I've wrestled in rings with no give, and it all stings. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I can imagine. Everybody has a story behind how they came up with their in-ring persona. Where would you say that came for you?
So I don't. Have you ever read "Have a Nice Day," Mick Foley's book?
Parts of it. I haven't made it all the way through yet.
Okay, so in his book, he talks about how Cactus Jack was essentially, it was who Mick Foley was turned up to 11, and that's essentially where my character came from. I tried really hard for like 5 years to be like a serious wrestler, and then finally one of the guys who helped train me, Conrad Kennedy III, wrestled as Crimson. He told me, he's like, you're a goofy guy, like you're a big guy, and you're goofy and you're funny. Like, why don't you incorporate that more into your character? And then he told me about a buddy of ours, Joe Doring, when he was wrestling for All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
On a whim, he got these funny shirts made of a teddy bear, and it said "World's Most Huggable Wrestler." And he said, you should be the world's most huggable wrestler, and like actually be a huggable wrestler. So that's where the idea for the world's most huggable wrestler, Bryan Castle, came from, is because, it was essentially just taking my personality, turning it up way higher, and then the name, which was stolen from Joe Doring, the nickname was. And it's worked out pretty well for me for the past, I think, 11 years, how long I've been doing this character, and I enjoy it. It's fun to have fun when you're pro wrestling.
Oh yeah, no. And they always say when you're having fun, it don't seem like you're working. But
love what you do. You never work a day in your life, right?
Yep. That's how it went. I knew, I was thinking of that one, but you bring up Joe Doring. He's actually doing pretty good for himself there in Impact right now.
He's doing great in Impact. I'm loving watching him shine on American TV.
Oh yeah, no. I'll admit, when I first saw him come on, that I wasn't too familiar with him at the time, but through watching and, looking up stuff, I'm like, okay, I can dig this guy.
He's a modern day Stan Hansen. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Mm-hmm. I can completely agree with that one. Now, I've talked to some wrestlers that they don't watch too much of the current product out there. Do you pay much attention to the current product of wrestling?
I keep up with it as much as I can. I watch it when I'm able to. I know a lot of the stories, but at this point, like, I'm very happy and pleased that I have some people that I've known since they started that are featured on the TVs, and it's always nice to like follow up and see what they're up to. But I mean, I try and watch as much wrestling as possible. It's just whether it's indies or WWE, Impact, AEW, I try and watch whatever I can. Just because it's for the simple fact of uh, wrestling is always changing, adapting, and growing, and you can't know what's going on in the world, like how to be better in the world of wrestling without knowing what's going on in the world of wrestling.
No, definitely. One thing that kind of popped up here recently with a guy that I'm actually going to be interviewing here towards the end of the month, Jake Christ. I keep on thinking I'm
Jake Christ. Yep.
Okay, good.
Christ.
I got it. Okay, good. I always worry I'm mispronouncing his name, but
love Jake.
Oh yeah, he's always been entertaining to me, and there's that issue that popped up with not just him, but he's the one that kind of brought it to the forefront of everything over there with IWA Mid-South.
Yeah, I never had the pleasure, I guess you could say, of working for IWA, but I have a lot of friends who have. And what happened is awful.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see it. It looks like Jake's trying to turn it into a positive, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I have a handful of friends that have wrestled over there, including one of my really good friends who was in their first ever Prince of the Deathmatch show. I actually went back and watched his match, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, no, I actually reached out to Jake and like, hey, I've seen what's going on, and you got a lot of people behind you there. I have a platform. I'd love for you to be able to come on if you want to and voice whatever you got to voice.
Oh, Jake's got a lot of great stories, and I'm looking forward to listening to that one. I'll be tuning in myself, because it'll be a good time for him to get some things off his chest.
Oh yeah, no man, I'm more than happy to give him a platform to do that. Going outside of wrestling, I always like to, with each of my guests, try to ask them like about outside interests, like any hobbies that you have. Like I know Alex Colon, big into like the wrestling figure collecting, and I think Tank, who I interviewed, he big into video games.
Yeah, I mean, I am your stereotypical nerd. I love video games, anything Marvel, and I'm big into movies. I've probably seen over 3,000 movies.
Yeah,
in my life, and I love horror, all sorts of horror, and pretty much you name it. I probably at least have dipped my toes into it a little bit to see if it interests me.
Nice. Like Marvel, I love Marvel. I actually have kind of dipped my toes in a little bit into the Funko Pop collecting. I got a couple wrestling ones. I got Undertaker and the Rock, and then I got a Deadpool and a Tony Stark.
Okay, I was gifted by a promoter a Rowdy Piper Funko Pop, and I love it. I keep it in my it's perched on my bedroom shelf.
Nice.
Because I mean, I was very, very lucky. Probably about 10 years ago now, I did a tour of Newfoundland, and which is, for those that don't know, it's an island in Canada. And Roddy Piper was on 2 nights of the tour, and it all got set up thanks to Crimson, who put in a good word for me and was out there, and word had gotten around that I was a good wheelman, a good driver. So the promoter came up to me and said, "Hey, uh, heard you're a good driver. We need someone to take Roddy and some of the other guys and go get some food." And I said, "Sure, no questions asked. Just handed me the keys of the van. I took him and some of the other talent on the show. We went and got pizza, and then Roddy proceeded to tell us so many great stories for the next 2 hours, and it's probably one of the top 5 moments of my career, is just being able to hang out and listen to stories from Roddy.
Oh, wow. Man, I can only imagine. Like, I know I've considered myself lucky with this show in particular, getting to interview people. Like, my first ever one I did on Zoom was the SATs. And then, I mean, obviously Alex Colon. I got to interview Carrie Silken. So,
Okay, yeah, from Ring of Honor.
Yeah. So that, and I've tried to get some people I'm waiting on, but I've tried to get something. It doesn't have to be signed, but I've gotten a handful of things from people that I've at least met through the show, if not actually talked to them. Like, I have a signed Hangman Adam Page figure. I got one of Lance Archer. I got who else? Jeff Cobb. And
Big fan of Jeff Cobb.
Oh, love him. And then I actually got to talk to this guy for the show, and when I went for your wrestling, they gave me an event poster that I have everybody that's on it, on the poster itself, sign it. One of those, the guy that I talked to, Jonah.
Okay.
That was.
Yeah, I just recently met Jonah, and he couldn't have been nicer.
Oh yeah, he was so nice, such a fun guy to talk to, and yeah, no, you said considering yourself a little bit of a nerd. Let's say, what would you say is one of your favorite video games right now?
Right now, so it's tough for me because I'm not a big fan of multiplayer games, and that's pretty much all that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
So I like going back and Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably one of the greatest games I've ever played. It's such a great story, and
oh yeah,
you know, lots of replayability in that game.
Totally. And I mean, you get the online bit of that, and you can just go off on your own little thing.
Right. Which is why I like Grand Theft Auto Online too. That you can play it by yourself and just have a good time.
The one thing that kind of irks me about Grand Theft Auto Online, and I mean, I get it, it's part of the game, but like, I'll be going through, not even in a mission, like going through one of the businesses you got, and all of a sudden somebody just randomly walked by, bam! I'm like,
good old griefers, yeah.
Like, the hell?
Yeah. Bunch of jerks trying to make everything hard for guys who are just trying to have a little bit of fun. And
yeah,
guys, for that matter.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, no, that right there was another reason why I kind of got turned away from the Call of Duty games for a while, because like, you'd go, and I know you're not much for the multiplayer, but I figured, why not give it a shot? But then you get these people on there that I swear it's like that's their full-time thing. They don't even have a job. They just sit on there all day. And if you're not, like, if you screw up even in the slightest, you'll hear nothing but them talking shit. And then it's like, you know, they're talking about you.
Yep. Yeah.
And
It's just, it's tough to get into something, especially if you get into it a little bit late like that, and then everyone's way better than you are, and
oh yeah,
it's just difficult.
oh yeah, no, it definitely can be. Um, to kind of round off things, I have two different categories: a speed round and a random question round. I usually started off with the speed round, where I name off some people, you give me your thoughts.
Okay.
And I tend to try to tailor it to the guest. So I went through and doing my homework and found out some people that you've shared the ring with at
Sure.
various points. One was a Rumble style match, I believe in 18. The guy that won it, AC Romero.
Yeah. Yeah, that was for Rockstar Pro Wrestling. It was the first and only time I ever wrestled for Rockstar. A lot of great guys. AC couldn't have been kinder, and so humble and willing to work with everybody. And another one of my favorites, Larry D, and was in that, and that was a lot of fun because it was a different style of Rumble that I was used to, and it was far more structured, which helped to make it that much better.
Nice. Another guy that I believe it was more than once, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Rhino.
Rhino is one of the men who has helped me in my career immensely. I've been very blessed to travel a lot with Rhino because I'm from Toledo, Ohio. He's from Detroit, so the connection got made, and he thought I was funny and asked if I wanted to go on the road, and I have traveled to shows with him for probably about 10 years. 10,
Nice.
12 years.
Yeah,
so, but
a favorite of mine.
Always willing to help out young talent, help everybody in the locker room get better, and make shows stronger, and help make the business stronger. That's what I love most about Rhino.
That's awesome. That's always good when you have guys that have been to the levels that he's been at that are willing to help out everybody.
Yep. And then no one, if you look that up in anything and you're looking for a guy to symbolize that, Rhino is that person. 100%.
That is awesome. Another person I came up here, she goes by, well, either Victoria or Lisa Marie Verone, I believe.
Yeah, Border City Wrestling. I want to say that was 2016, perhaps. It was a mixed tag match with me and her versus Joe Coleman and Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks was on TNA for a little bit. Joe Coleman was in OVW. It was a lot of fun. It was probably one of the bigger matches of my career, and Victoria was. I've been very blessed. I haven't run into too many assholes. Let's put it that way. Victoria was sweet, willing to listen and work. And my favorite part of that match is the finish, because my finisher is a backpack stunner, and obviously her finish is the Widow's Peak, which is pretty much the backpack stunner with the opponent facing the opposite way. So I came up with the idea, and everyone was totally on board for us to do our finishers in stereo and have the pinfall in stereo. And it was also the first time I ever had pyro.
Nice.
Border City Wrestling, was run by Impact president Scott D'Amore, who was another man who helped me get better exponentially.
That is awesome. Next one, last one for the speed round that I saw a handful of times on a match list here, Jock Sampson.
Jock Sampson. One of the funnest guys to party with after a show. Former tag champ with Jock Sampson for International Wrestling Cartel out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And we went in there and just decided, hey, we're just going to go have fun. And I was all on board. We called our tag team Bearded for Your Pleasure.
I remember reading that name.
Yeah, and it was a blast. We got to wrestle the fraternity a couple of times, and I love those guys from Canada.
Nice.
And that was a fun little run in IWC.
Awesome. Now on to the random question round. Could be wrestling related, could not be. But, you answer how you see fit.
I'll try and fire away as best I can.
All right. Any show day rituals?
I used to. Now the only superstition I have is I have to put my left sock on and my left boot on before I put it goes left sock, left boot, right boot. That's the biggest one I have. It's just a routine at this point.
Gotcha. I can understand that. Favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise?
Non-alcoholic, Ultra Watermelon Monster.
Ooh.
And alcoholic is the Natter Day beers. The strawberry lemonade beer from Natural Light, which is way better than it deserves to be. It is a delicious shandy.
You know what? I might have to try that one out. I don't believe I've had that one.
They now have strawberry lemonade, pineapple, which I'm not a big pineapple fan, and one I haven't tried yet, they have a raspberry lemonade. Red, white, and blue.
One that I was pleasantly surprised with was the Busch Light apple.
One of my students, Sam Beal, that will die upon the hill that Busch Light and Busch Light Apple are the two best beers on the face of the planet. And actually, if you follow Sam Beal on TikTok, Sam Beal 22, he just posted one of the funniest TikToks asking to be sponsored by Busch Light.
That I know I wouldn't mind getting sponsored by them. I wouldn't say they're the best beer on the planet. I got hooked on this one when I was in the Navy, when one of the couple of times I got go down to Hawaii, but Kona Big Wave.
Yeah. Big Wave is one of my favorite beers. The Kona Brew. So it's funny you mentioned beers because I work in the bar industry as well.
I remember.
And Kona Brewing Company is probably one of my favorite brewing companies. Their Java Porter is absolutely delicious.
My two favorites of theirs, like I said, Big Wave, and then I'm also a fan of the Longboard.
Yep, that's like IPA or something.
I'm wanting to say so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed with beers that Stone Cold has his two now, and for some reason, neither of them are sold here in Nebraska.
It's a bunch of legal tape because they got to be cleared by the liquor board to be sold in your state.
Yeah. When I was
distribution purposes.
Yeah. When I was down in St. Louis for Warrior Wrestling, I've interviewed the promoter a couple of times, and I found a place down there that actually sold the IPA, and
Yeah.
probably one of the better IPAs I've ever had.
Yeah. By the way, you've mentioned Warrior a couple times. I just want to say it out there. I love those guys. They run a really professional show. I've had the pleasure of wrestling for them once, and just being able to hang out at a couple of their shows, and it's always a blast. I'm really, really thankful to have met those guys.
Oh yeah, I can say the same myself. I just out of curiosity, being a fan of their product, I was like, I reached out on social media and was like, hey, I got a podcast. Would you want to be on? And we set it up, and they mentioned that they were going to be in St. Louis. So they said, you should come down. I'm like my show? I'm like, yeah. And then I went down. I swear, like you said, some really great people. Me being relatively new to the podcast game, they made me feel great the whole time. But
yeah, they're always welcoming, always very kind, and they put on some of the best shows in the country.
Oh yeah, I actually just interviewed
my brother.
I was just gonna say,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just interviewed Steve, the promoter, a second time last night to kind of preview. They got 2 shows coming up here tomorrow, and then one the day of Forbidden Door, but just held earlier in the day. So literally, you could go to both.
Yeah,
but we ran down hard, and love them.
Yeah. One of the 2 of my best friends in the entire world. As a matter of fact, I call one of them my brother. Call them both my brother. Trey Miguel, the rest. Trey Miguel and Jack Wentz. Trey Miguel is honestly closer to me than 90% of my family, and I will go to war for that man any day of the week, and I know he feels the exact same way. He's actually my co-trainer. He's a head trainer with me at Skull and Bones Pro Wrestling Academy in Toledo, Ohio. It's me, Conrad Kenny III, who I talked about, and Trey Miguel. We are all the trainers at Skull and Bones Pro Wrestling in Toledo, Ohio.
Nice. Trey Miguel's another guy I wouldn't mind having on the show at some point. So who knows? Maybe someday it'll happen.
So all you can do is ask.
No. Next question. Favorite match that you've had, and then your favorite match just as a fan watching it.
Okay. So I'll answer the second question first because it's a shorter answer.
Okay.
My favorite match I like to watch, I can go back and watch this match all the time, is Dr. Death Steve Williams, who's my personal all-time favorite wrestler, versus Kenta Kobashi in All Japan in, I believe it was 94. And it's just my favorite match to go back and watch. I have it saved in YouTube at all times, so I can just dial it up whenever I want. It's got its own little playlist.
Nice.
And I always been a big fan. Always was a big fan of Dr. Death. And, he's the one guy I wish I could have met. My favorite personal match that I've had was in Connecticut, and it was me and Rhino versus Homicide and a guy named Bobby Ocean. It was a tag match, and when the match got announced, I looked at my buddy and I go, one of these things is not like the other. because you got Rhino, the Man Beast, you got Homicide, LAX, and Ring of Honor World Champion, just so good. And Bobby Ocean, who was no slouch, he was so talented. Like I watched his stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys are on a whole nother level compared to me, because I've always been a little self-conscious. Get to the show, and the match, it's on YouTube. Homicide was so giving, and like he had looked me up, which was flattering in and of itself. He said, "You're the huggable guy, right?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "So you want to do some comedy with me?" I said, "Yes, sir." And I'll let you guys take a look at the YouTube video, but he did everything. As soon as we started talking, I was relaxed. We had a really good match, and it also wound up, we unfortunately, spoiler alert, didn't get the win, me and Rhino, but Rhino got the gore on yours truly, and tell you what, that hurt.
Oh, I can imagine. It doesn't look like a pleasant move to have to be on the bad end of.
No, sir.
Next and last question of the random round. And, I figured with this one, since you're one of the trainers there, best advice for somebody wanting to get into wrestling?
No, it's not going to be easy from day one. And then never quit. I tell all the students at the school, I say, listen, I don't care if it's not going to look the best running these drills, because it's training. You're going to get there. You're starting from somewhere. All I ever ask is that no one quits. It's tough. Getting into wrestling is tough on your body. It's tough physically, because it's a lot of athletic activity. And so, we always say, get your cardio up before you start. You have to. And just whatever you do, just don't quit, and we'll get you there.
No, very, very good advice. And here, well, I forget who it was that I interviewed, that they told me one of the hardest parts for training for them was after that first day, getting back up and going back in the next day, because of how, like you said, it's tough. And they're like, oh man, that sucked, but damn it, I want to do this.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, just never give up, man. If it's your dream, go for it.
No, that's a very good thing, and that can be used in life in general. Just don't give up, because, hey, you never know, if you just would have pushed that little bit more, boom, you might have been right where you wanted to be.
Right.
All right. That is about all I have, but where can people find you, social media wise, and, any events you got coming up, so maybe they can come and watch?
On Twitter, I am Bryan, BRYAN _ Castle, CASTLE. Instagram, I believe I am Bryan, BRYAN Castle 1987. I had to get a new Instagram recently. Currently, right now, I have a show in Fremont, Ohio, next week, called The Fight for Fremont. It's an outdoor show. And then, I'm just tagging along as we talk right now. I'm actually about to go check out freelance wrestling in Chicago.
Oh,
and I like popping up at shows every now so often. But if you would like to book me for your show, you can DM me on either of the socials. Once again, Bryan_Castle on Twitter, Bryan Castle 1987 on Instagram, or you can email me at bryancastlebookings@gmail.com.
Oh, and you know what? You bring up that show in Chicago. Funny thing, we were bringing up Warrior Wrestling. I happened to
Will Ospreay is going to be Warrior Wrestling champion. Will Ospreay is going to be here doing a little signing. By the time you guys hear this, it'll be over, but should be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I actually just got word a little bit before we started that, you know, they're doing the signing, and some of the guys with Warrior, probably Steve's probably there, a few of the others.
Sure.
But yeah, they're all there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good night.
Oh yeah, no, they Freelance puts on a decent show themselves. But anyways, that's about all I have. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me, and I'll be sure to put links to social medias and everything in the description of the YouTube version. And you know what? Best of luck on those upcoming shows.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.